Welcome into T4G Gamers, home of the athletic land of the handsome. And today we're going to show you guys how to trade for all the best rookies in Madden 23. We're going to do it all on the same team. We're going to show you guys different avenues of how you guys can do this. We're not going to just show you like A, B, and C trading where it's just trade a third-round pick and a halfback and then this. We're going to just mess around with the system and show you guys how to maneuver and make the system work for you. So I'm going to start this off with halfbacks first, just to be edgy. You know, and I'm going to do Breece Hall. I'm going to go for him because I like him as a person and I like him as a football player. And you can see he's actually not the easiest to trade for, and he's definitely not the hardest. But the whole point in trading for these players is you have to think, how do I get them in abundance, right? And how do I work the system? So I could add these two guys up here. They're yellow interest. You know, Allen's not that great, but I don't want to add too much more because I could be adding another wide receiver, and then I'll more than likely have to add a second-round pick or something like that for it to go through. And so I want to think outside the box. I want to change the way I'm doing this. So instead of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up a halfback. I'm going to add up quarterback, Allen, and then I'm going to go for someone completely different, right? I'm going to go for Corey Davis here. Let's see if I can pad this a little bit more. Okay, so I couldn't get it for a fifth-round pick, so I'm just going to try to get it straight up. So I got Kyle Allen. I gave him backup halfback for Corey Davis. Really easy to get him. So I'm going to trade Corey Davis back, and if you want to do this quickly, you want to trade from the NFL rosters and not the trade center menu, okay? And I'm going to use Corey Davis, Driscoll, and then I'm going to use a fifth-round pick. I could get it with a sixth-round pick, but since I don't have a sixth-round pick, I'm going to get a seventh-round pick in return, and this is how I'm going to do it. So there's ways to maneuver this, and hey, do I really want to give up all those guys and have to give up a second-round pick when I can just give up basically a quarterback and a horrible halfback? You know, I'd rather do it this way. So Desmond Ritter made it onto this list because he's pretty easy to trade for. The Falcons like running backs, so I utilize that because running backs are easy. You can get guys on the free agency. They're going to show yellow interest on the Falcons. The Falcons are just, they're thirsty boys for that running back. And Rex Burkhead's just too bald for my liking. I'm just kidding, Rex. I like you. And then throwing in a fifth-round pick, but I like Desmond Ritter. He's a cool guy. So Matt Corral made it onto this list because he's pretty easy to trade for. Conley, Freeman, and a fourth-round pick. Pretty easy. Ask for picks back. They wouldn't give us anything back, but still. I still like him enough to be able to bring him onto the team for relatively cheap. Malik Willis made it onto the list because he's the best sleeper quarterback that you can get. His throw power, his speed, he's a must-have for user leagues. In simulation, you could still make him good. It's a little bit tougher, but you could use a halfback from the free agency, a D tackle who's like a 60-something overall, and a fourth-round pick. Just make sure that the halfback is somewhat decent. Right around the same overall as Murray, and you should be good. So the next guy we're going to go after is James Cook. He's not the easiest to trade for, but he is actually really easy to trade for. So I'm going to switch this up. So I'm going to go after some guys on their team. First, I'm going to go after both their centers because I want to make them very team needs heavy on a certain position. And then what I'm going to do, I could get it with a sixth, but even if I have to give up 2 sevenths, I guess I will. And that doesn't work there. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to give up a fifth-round pick, then go from there. And let's try and add up. Let's see who they'll give. If they don't give anybody up, at least a seventh is what I would want. So, okay, I'm going to grab these two guys here, and then I'm going to do the next part of this trade and trade them back. So they're going to trade Morse back to him because we really wanted them to think that they needed Morse more than anything because they had no centers at all. So sometimes you'll see these avenues and you need to take advantage of it. So we traded them back. We got a third-round pick. So we're profiting from this trading because Morse was really easy to get. The more you profit, the better off you're going to be. So I'm going to go after Chris Olava. In order to get Chris Olave, you have two options. You can either trade for him, obviously, and it's a little bit tougher to trade for him. Or what you can do is you can do the SAR. You can do our trade glitch, our trade cheat, and you could get him released to you easily and then re-sign him to a really good deal for 7 years and have him forever. That is definitely something you can do, and it's going to be a lot easier than what we're doing here. But we're going to trade for Garrett Bowles first. So we used Burkhead. We could have gotten maybe a 7th-round pick back. Now we're going to use Bowles to get us Olave. So remember, it's different for every single team. Teams trade differently with other teams. We're showing you the basics here of trading. We used Bowles, and the reason we used Bowles is some people look at this, well, you're giving up Bowles and a first-round pick for Olave? That's a lot. Well, Bowles is very easy to get. You can use free agency players to get him. You can use guys that aren't going to start on your team to get Bulls. So you can't think of Bulls and look at him and go, wow, his overall is just so good and he's amazing, so why would I trade him? Well, yeah, I'm trading a first-round pick as well for Olave, and you could probably even get picks back. Some of you guys will be able to even use second-round picks, maybe even a third-round pick along with Bulls and get him. If you can't use Bulls, use Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews on the Falcons is very easy to trade for. Remember, we're just showing you guys the tools. It's your job to apply these tools for your individual team. So I'm going to go after Jameson Williams, and to do that, I'm going to pull Decker off of the Lions, and I used Greenyard. And he's pretty easy to get a guy of his overall and age and development. Really easy. You can get him on free agency really, really easy. So getting Decker is a cake. And now we're going to use Decker to get us the guy that we want. We're going to have to more than likely use more and more guys because he's like Olava. He's very difficult to trade for Jameson Williams. So I know this looks like this is quite a bit. And at times you have to understand you are going to have to bite the bullet. You're going to have to give up more than what you'd want to give up. Sure, you could probably do the SAR for him. You stack another wide receiver on, you do our trade glitch and get him dropped. However, for those of you who can't do that in your league, we want to show you how to rebound from this. So that's what we're going to do as we keep going through this video. But you'll see the first round pick, a third round pick, and then Taylor Decker. Taylor Decker you can get for basically a write-in on the free agency. So he's basically free. Then you got a first round pick. We'll show you how to get more first round picks in the future and in other videos. So don't get hung up on, yeah, I had to give up quite a bit for him. Remember, if you think that this guy is worth it, then all this is a moot point because you're going to be able to get it back, and this guy's going to be one of the best wide receivers that you're going to have on your team easily. So we traded away Davis Mills because we don't need him at this moment. We have enough quarterbacks. We have a third-round pick and another third-round pick. We could have got more back, but we did this because we're going after Garrett Wilson, and we wanted to get as much trade value as possible. So we already showed you guys how to get the quarterbacks. Davis Mills is not going to beat those quarterbacks out at this moment. And now we're going to just, pad up our trade away value. Okay, so we're going to trade for Bitonio because Bitonio is an absolute beast to get. I love this guy. We also got a third-round pick back. We had to trade a second-round pick. We picked up the center from the free agency. Obviously, we picked up Tomlinson from the Jets. So we're going to show you guys how to continuously grow your guys' trade value, and you're going to have a lot of value in the trade game. And this is where it gets a lot of fun for me, particularly because we're going to show you how to just dominate in the trade game. So all said and done, I did this whole ladder trading going on here. So I traded them Joel Bitonio for Garrett Wilson. I got a third-round pick back. I traded him Pierce. I don't really need a halfback. Could have traded them basically almost any halfback as long as they're around the 70 overall range. And then I traded a 7th-round pick. So I ended up walking away to a C.J. Mosley and then I think Quentin Spain, whoever it is. So I still got more trade value. So that's another thing that I'm looking at doing when I'm doing this is I'm looking at profiting as much as I can. That way I can take these guys and get even more profit and just continuously, trading for more and more guys, higher valued guys, and then, continuously just growing my franchise or my team. Okay, so I traded for Bitonio back. And I also traded Jake Matthews to the Panthers for Shaq Thompson. Now, you don't have to do that. I was just messing around and testing out the system. You could trade Jake Matthews. You could trade for him extremely easy. And then you could trade him to the Panthers and get Shaq Thompson and like a 2nd-round pick, at least a 3rd-round pick. So it's profitable to trade for him. And Jake Matthews trading for him back is a joke. And if I did this, I would just trade Jake Matthews back to the Panthers and just try to wipe the Panthers out just using left tackles. I would get Bitonio back, and so, and then I would try to get my 1st-round picks back and stuff like that. So some people may look at this and say, well, you're trading a 90 overall left guard. Yeah, but I basically traded for this left guard. Basically, I gave him popcorn. I mean, I didn't give a lot up. So even though I'm trading a 1st-round pick and Bitonio, it may seem like I'm giving up a lot. I'm not giving up as much as you would think because now I can trade these guys. I mean, I can just trade them for gold, and it's just insane. I'm giving up a 3rd-round pick and a left end, and I'm getting Bitonio back, and I'm getting Moten back. Or I'm getting Moten. I didn't have him before. So I'm just like, you can just slowly just eat a team alive by doing this, and the CPU would just be like, oh, okay, here you go. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's like just showing them a bunch of shiny stuff, and they're just like really confused. Okay, so that's how you can do it. And so I ended up, at the end of it, I ended up profiting quite a bit from picking him up. I mean, I got a lot of guys, and I'm not even doing a rebuild for the Texans, but I mean, they don't know that. I got really good guys that it's insane. I mean, and all these guys I'm trading for have zero penalty because the other team paid off their signing bonus. Okay, so I know Brian Burns is coming up on a contract, but my team is doing so good now just from the trades that I'm doing that I'm getting morale boost on my players, which is great. I love seeing this, but I got C.J. Mosley. I mean, it's collateral trading. I got Shaq Thompson from it. You know, I'm not just going after these rookies. I'm bringing on, you know, waves of guys, and some people will look at these overalls and just get stuck in the mud and go, well, I don't want to trade this guy. Think about it. You can trade him back. You can give him, you know, it's like, hey, I'm going to lend you this player, and then I'm going to bring him back onto my team with, the, you know, like an interest rate. That's basically what it is. I'm lending players out for like a minute for an interest rate. 2 free agency guys. T.Y. Hilton I got from the free agency. I got a 5th-round pick back, but you know, I would say pretty easy to trade for. You know, if you look at their overalls too much, you could be like, oh, well, you know, it's not that valuable, but it is. It definitely is. And even giving up the draft picks, I know I hate giving up draft picks, but another thing, too, that you have to take into consideration is that I've built up so much players now that I can now trade players away and replenish that. So, you know, at first you want to be stingy with your draft picks, collect the players, and then after you've collected the players, then what you want to do is start to bring back the draft picks. So it's like a give and take. Like I was saying before, it's just like a dance. So the Giants do love left guards. They really do. They love Bitonio particularly. So that's who we would try to get with Evan Neal. Because, you know, Bitonio, you got to look for guys like this that are easy. And we're going to have videos on it as well, more guys that are easy to trade for on regression. But you already seen how easy it is to get Bitonio. Then we do David Johnson, who, you know, I mean, let's be realistic, is not really that great. And then a 4th-round pick for Evan Neal. And more than likely, I could trade for Bitonio back pretty easy. Maybe not at this moment in time, but more than likely, yeah, I could. So, you know, Evan Neal's definitely on this because finding positions or players that like Bitonio, where it's a guy who's not hard to trade for. Yeah, you look at his overall and you're going, well, you're throwing him over there, but you guys have already seen it's easy to trade for him. So these are things that you want to be thinking about, and these are why some of these guys are making it onto this list. All right, so I did it just because I traded for Bitonio back, gave him Moton, got Saquon Barkley, and I got Williams 2 seconds. I already know I can get the 2nd-round picks back. So yeah, we'll show you guys a video too on how to get unlimited draft picks as well. It really is not that difficult to trade for. I know I gave up a lot here, but I went through so quickly I didn't ask for picks back, and I could have gotten more back. But Carl Lawson was really easy to trade for. His trade away value is much higher. So that's something that you should recognize. The 2 draft picks that I traded, I got really easily, so I could get those back. So I'm not too worried about what I gave up. Am I happy that I gave up this much? No, not really. I mean, you know, I could have penny pinched like crazy. But still, I ended up getting a really good D tackle, and it just didn't cost me a whole heck of a lot besides time to get all of what you see here to trade for the Eagles. And I could get this back if I really wanted to. So Aiden Hutchinson, pretty easy to trade for. We used Bitonio. We used D Ford, the 5th-round pick. Bitonio is really easy to get. If you can't get Bitonio, use an equivalent. You know, we'll show you more list as well. But you can use Jake Matthews, another good guy to use. You can use Bowles, Scare Bowles. There's other linemen that you can use. Will it have the exact same effect? You know, possibly not because of Bitonio's overall. And the other thing good about left guards, what I noticed and kind of made me go that way, is if you look at the left guards, the overalls drop drastically. So there's like really, you know, 3 good left guards, the rest drop drastically. So it's something that I like because then I know majority of the teams besides 3 teams have good left guards. And I have one of those guys, so only 2 teams have good left guards. So his trade value is just going to be insane. But with linemen, their value is pretty high. So even if you have Jake Matthews, the value is still going to be there. He's going to show green interest on almost every single team. So I traded for Thuney on the Chiefs, and it was so easy to get him. It was ridiculous. So if you can't get Bitonio, then do Thuney, and I wanted to show you someone else. But the left guards right now are cake to be able to get these guys. And it's not easy to get Quentin Nelson, but I ended up getting Walker, so he made it on this list, Brandon Sheriff, and then Allen. And then, yeah, so I'm not worried about the draft picks because it's just, I have so many guys built up now that I could just go and get, you know, a bunch of draft picks if I really wanted to. Just to show you guys, too, how easy it is to get them back, I got Thuney back, second-round pick. I gave up Thompson, who I got very easily, and I gave up Can. He showed green interest, and then I gave up Rogers. So it's pretty easy to get all these guys back and draft picks. So Walker's not like super easy to trade for, but he's definitely not hard. You need to utilize a lineman, and you've already seen how we've been doing that. We're using guards. You can use some tackles as well, but that's really where you want to go because I wanted to get draft picks back or I would have went after players. And I'm sure I could get Brandon Sheriff back pretty easy if I wanted to, but that's really what you need to utilize when picking up some of these rookies. All right, so for Thibodeau, you don't have to use Jared Cook. He's a red interest, just so you guys know. I got him from the free agency. He's a red interest. He's not valued at all on this, and you could see the Giants' feedback on that. It was basically a second-round pick. If I had a seventh, I could have used it and got him, so that was the same equivalent of a seventh-round pick. So don't look at his overall and think, wow, it didn't matter. And you already know with Joe Thuney, I can get him back pretty easy, used a second-round pick. So when you look at it from just this perspective, it seems like it's a lot. It's not. Once again, you've seen how I've kept maneuvering, and it's becoming, very easy. So I didn't know if I screwed up how the Jets trade by fluctuating their roster as much as I was fluctuating it with all the trading I was doing. But I wiped out their left guards. They had no left guards left. I gave them Joe Thuney, second-round pick, and Brian Burns. And believe it or not, that is the best I could get was a fourth-round pick. And Sauce Gardner, he is good, but, you're talking Brian Burns and Joe Thuney and a second-round pick. If I was the Jets in real life, I would do this easy. No question about it. Easy. If I were you guys, what I would do is I'd take Chris Harris on the free agency. I would put him onto the Jets. I would get as much as you could. Probably draft picks is where I would go. Get one cornerback so it stays at a 53-man roster. And then I would waive trade him and get Gardner dropped in the SAR. There's a way to get him dropped in the SAR. But yeah, that's what I would do because this was just absurd. So trading for Sign or Scene, however you say his name, argue about it in the comments below. Was very easy. Desmond King the second. And you could have used a free agency player. I used Ndamukong Suh because he was a free agency player. And I just didn't want to use anyone else. I was too lazy. And then a fifth-round pick. It was easy. You may look at them and say, whoa, Ndamukong Suh, yeah, I could have got value elsewhere, blah, blah, blah. But he was red interest. So at the end of it, these are the guys we traded for. We got the rookies that we wanted on quarterback. We got Breece Hall, James Cook. Tariq Cohen's is sitting there injured. Our wide receivers are super exciting. I want to rebuild with this team and just see how they do. Garrett Wilson, Olave, and Jameson Williams all back together again like they were at Ohio State. How cool is that? And then we got Jeremy Rucker, too. I love that. Love getting him on. Some of these guys, we traded for, but I really want to rebuild this team. Akeem, the guy's a beast. I don't think we got a left guard, but we did. We could go get a left guard. I want to get that Pennington guy. Guy's such a monster on the Saints. So I might trade for him too. But, Tyler. We got Tyler as well. We got Evan Neal. And then we would move those guys to left end and right end. Walker. So we got Aiden Hutchinson, Walker. Really cool there. And then we already had Stingley Jr., but he's basically the same as Gardner, right around there. And then we did get Lewis as well, and we already had a guy on our team here, Petrie. But, yeah, this team is just cool. All these guys together, it would be hard to rebuild with them to make them as good as you'd want them to be because usually they get better when you have really good guys around them and then, they just kind of fill in place. When you have an entire rookie team, it's not as easy. But I do want to do an entire rookie team rebuild and just see, can we win a lot. So anyways, there you go.